Hello students of class A. Today I'm going to start with the chapter Interior of the Earth. This chapter actually basically gives an idea about the inner structure of the Earth. So basically our Earth is being divided into three portions. One is the crust, then we have the mantle and the core. So this chapter actually deals about the interior structure or the inner structure of the earth. So before going to in details about these three portions of the earth, I'm going to go first about the evidence from which we are getting or we are able to understand about the inner structure of the earth or how the inner structure looks like. Okay, so for the first evidence from where we are able to understand about the inner structure of the earth is the volcanic activity. Okay, the volcanic eruption provides us with enough information regarding the state and the materials of the interior of the earth. Okay, we all know when the volcano erupts, molten magma comes into the earth's surface, and from this magma when this magma when comes out into the earth's surface and flows on the earth's surface, we call that thing as the lava. Okay, next is that earthquake. Okay, so earthquake means the shaking of the earth's surface. So from the earthquake we are able to understand the interior portions of the earth. Okay, it unveils the mystery of the earth's interior too. And the last thing is that hot springs. Okay, the hot springs also provide the evidence of the earth's heated interior. The jet of the hot water that the streams that comes out from the inside of the earth's surface, we call that as the hot spring. So this hot springs is also giving us a valid giving us the validation regarding the interior structure of the earth. Okay, so now let us go into the details about this crust, mantle and core. So the crust is actually the outermost skin of the earth on which we live. Okay, so the outermost structure or the outermost portion of the earth, we are calling this as the crust. Okay, the crust comprises both of this ocean and continent. Okay, so the crust, what is this crust? The crust is actually the outer portion of the earth on which we live and on which every living organism sustains. Okay, so that outer portion of the earth, we are calling it as the crust. So we can divide the crust into two portions. One is the oceanic crust, where we have all our oceanic habitat, and then we have the continent where we live and where all the animal habitat survives. Okay, including the plants habitat. Okay, next is the next layer is the mantle. Okay, it is the second layer of the earth's interior. The mantle lies just below the crust. Okay, the mantle is the mantle basically consists of two things. One is that rigid and dense rock, and this mantle is very much elastic in nature. Okay, so the mantle is basically made up means that these are the two basic characteristics of the mantle. One is that it is made up of the rigid and the dense rock, and the next characteristic is that it is very much elastic in nature. I'm going to go in details about this later. I'm just giving you the basic idea about all the three part of the earth. Later on I'm going to go in details about the each part. Okay, so next, after the mantle, the most and the innermost part of the earth, we are calling it as the core. Okay, the core is actually the center of the earth. Okay, the core is the hottest part of the earth too. Okay, we can divide this core into two portions. One is the outer core and next is the inner core. Okay, so the outer core is the layer which is lying just beneath the mantle or just below the mantle layer, the layer that is present, the layer of the core that is present over there, we are calling this as the outer core. Okay, and the extreme central portion of the core, we are calling this as the inner core. Okay, this outer core is actually made up of two mineral. One is the iron and nickel, and the inner core is made up of also iron and nickel. But the basic difference between these two core is that over here the iron and the nickel is present in liquid form, but in the inner section the iron and the coal is present as solid form because of the excessive pressure that is present over here. Okay, in this inner core the pressure is very high. As a result of that, the inner core means as a result of that it is solid in nature. Okay, so this is all about the three layer of the earth, that is the crust, mantle and the core. I'm going to go in details about this three layer of the earth in the next video. So this is basically an introductory video based on the interior of the earth. So basically what is I'm going to go into revise what I said about this in the video, that the earth is basically the interior of the chapter. The interior of the earth is basically deals about the structure or inner structure of the earth. We are going to study about the inner structure of this earth in this particular chapter. So the earth is being divided into three portions, that is crust, mantle and core. So crust is actually the outermost layer of the earth where we and all the living beings survives and sustain. Next to the crust we have the mantle, and next to the mantle we have the core. Okay, the mantle is basically made up of two characteristics of the mantle is that it is very much rigid and it has got very much rigid and tense lock, and it behaves in this behavior is very much elastic in nature. And the next is the core. The core is basically the innermost portion of the earth, and we have the two different type we can categorize this core into two parts. One is the outer core and one is the inner core. The outer core is basically the layer beneath the mantle, and in the deepest portion of that we are having the inner core. Okay, so this is all about the end, and this is the end of this video too. So if you have please go through the book well, and I'm going to continue with the next portion, next of the portion and the next video. So thank you everybody.